to your will, Lord, and we try to follow your will as much as possible, Lord. Lord, we ask that you will be with the members of this table and this community, Lord, to help us overcome the battles and the things that are going on in this community, Lord, just to help us to quell the efforts of fighting and to just kind of put a presence out there, Lord, that will help the youth to know that we're here behind them, but we want to help them, not let them fight and go the wrong direction, Lord. Just bless this council. Bless us to your service, and all these things I ask in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, this time can I get approval of the meeting agenda? Get a motion? A motion by Councilman Gunter. Can I get a second? Second by Councilwoman Brandon. Any discussion? Call for vote. Councilwoman Brandon? Councilwoman Rainey? Councilman Wicks? Approve. Councilman Curtis? Approve. Councilman Hill? Councilman Fisher. All right, everybody approves. All right. Meeting to discuss personnel matter and executive session, but we got one ordinance. It's technically not a change, it's just we want to address it. Due to the sudden increase in situations that have been happening in the city of Washington, we've been talking with the sheriff, and our ordinances are in place for a reason, but we need to have power to use those ordinances when we need to. So instead of having to have a called special meeting, I wanted the sheriff to address us, and then let's discuss on how we can handle it, and just kind of let him know we're behind him and we're here to help him. So, Sheriff, I'll turn it over to you if you don't mind.
Which way? You want me to go over here?
You can go wherever you want.
Good afternoon. Appreciate everybody coming out. I'm going to kind of give you the backstory of everything that's taken place up until this past weekend. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, this incident that happened this weekend was just one of about 12 or 13 we've had over the summer. It started being just a couple of young ladies. Then it has evolved into being 6 or 7 young ladies. Now it's gotten into one of the most recent ones on the 4th of July, probably was 14, 15, maybe even 20 of them. The kind of thing that kind of took me a little bit beyond it, over the edge, where I had to go ahead and address the community, is when I saw those young boys. And I'm not being disrespectful when I'm calling them boys, I'm calling them because of their age, 15 or 16-year-olds, punching girls in the face with no fear or consequence of what they're going to do or what they're going to happen. We don't want any of them fighting at all. But when you take a young man, a male that's takes it upon himself and start just waylaying on these girls like he was doing out there, I felt like we had stepped over the line. What had we done up to that point? As this thing has progressed through the summer, coming into the 4th of July, that was probably our biggest one up into this last one. Our investigators had gone out. We had identified the young ladies that were involved in this, and we paid them, their parents, a visit. Said, hey, look, we know this is what's going on. We know they're planning to do it again on the 4th of July. Keep your children at home. Keep them close to you. We don't want this to happen. We had one parent out of everybody we spoke to that heeded that warning, and they kept their child by their side the whole night. And of course, has anybody seen the video of what took place? It was horrible. What took place right in the middle of the street in front of everybody. So the good part about all of this so far is nobody has gotten seriously injured. There's been some bruises, some scuffs, but I'm here to tell you we're going to be holding a dying child if we don't stop it. And I'm going to have to come knock on somebody's door. It could be somebody in this room to let you know your grandchild, your child is gone. And that's not what I want to do. If you've never held a child while it takes its last breath and look you in the eye and say, don't let me die, you don't know what you've been through. This last year was probably one of the toughest years of my, at that time, 29-year law enforcement career. And I had to go knock on the doors of different individuals in this county several times let them know their loved one had passed away. All of those were accidents. We've had not one that's been purposely hurt or killed at the hands of another. But I'm telling you, if we don't stop it, this is where we're headed. And I reached out to the mayor and talked to him extensively about it. I didn't want to say anything because I know how the news media is. They want to grab something negative and they want to just blast it all over the place. And they did that. Just so everybody knows, can I keep on talking?
Yeah.
So everybody knows, as you well know, I made my post on Sunday morning. By Sunday night, the news media had it and had Washington Wilkes all over the news in a negative manner. I was so angry. Then they came down here, and thank goodness Rodney Welborn did an amazing interview, an absolutely amazing interview. Said he hit the nail on the button with everything he said. It's a great job. What they didn't tell you is the conversation that I had Monday morning with them when I got to work. I called them on the phone and I let them know. My chief said, I want to be a part of this conversation. I want to hear it. I let them know. This is a private conversation. I don't want nobody to have no witnesses because it's going to be ugly. And I did. I gave them a really hard time about how they portrayed our community in the news media. And I said, y'all are real quick to want to grab a negative story. But you don't want to come and talk about how good our community is and what good we do for everybody here. And I said, I'm sick and tired of it. And if you can't do better, I'll block all of you. And if I have to, I'll shut my own Facebook page down because you're not going to stalk us and try to pick and choose what you want to say about our community because I'm sick and tired of it. And I got a phone call yesterday from the same news media company wanting to come do a interview with me for the Polar Patrol vehicle. So hopefully it didn't fall on deaf ears. Hopefully they're going to try to do something that makes our community look better instead of trying their best to beat us down all the time. But back to this kids thing, we definitely got to, it's not just going to take this group of men and women in this table right here. It's going to take the group of men and women in this room and your friends and your family that goes all the way beyond to your homes, everywhere. It's not going to be solved by just a little bit. I see Mr. Dominique sitting back there in the back. It's something you deal with all the time, and he sees it. So, the consideration in this, I'm not a lawmaker. We just enforce the laws that are there. So we'll do whatever the city wants and work with you guys, how we can to get this problem resolved. Hopefully, we'll get something going, headed in the right direction, and salvage these kids. And we're working with parents on this last time. Investigators are working, meeting with one today. I don't think jail is the answer to the question. That's my opinion. I don't think YDC is the answer to the question. Of all the kids that were out there the other day, there's one 17-year-old that was involved. It's the only legal adult by age was there. And she stands to face several felony charges if we were to pursue it. And that's not where we want to go. We want other remedies. We're going to do everything we can with the family and her. Even if she was arrested on that and fingerprinted, it's just a mark that will follow that child for the rest of her life, and that's not what we want to do. We're here to help. We're not here to hinder, and we want to make these kids better. We want to make this community better. You have questions?
Council, got any questions for me?
I would like to know, you were saying that no one was arrested?
That's correct. Nobody has been arrested.
Nobody has been arrested.
We've identified about 10 or 12 of the young people that were involved in it. We're sitting on paperwork. If we want to take people to jail, if we felt like that was the path to go, then we can follow that path. But we're working with parents and we're working with the children. They're kind of going to dictate their own path in this as to how cooperative they want to be with, getting some help and making sure that they're not going to be out on the streets doing this anymore. Does that make sense? Right. We don't want to see them again later. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, definitely, I think that, we definitely gotta take the whole, village to, keep the community safe and all. And so not only the, law enforcement, but the churches, the businesses, the stakeholders and others, definitely need to be involved in this process. That's one of the things that happen when we as a body take away the resources towards some of the teams. And I think that we really gotta figure out every entity, parents, number one, parents, this body, law enforcement, and the community. We gotta figure out, and play our part. So I just wanted to make sure that I understand if no teams have been, no one has been arrested, then, I think we should have also some conversation. I think we should have some conversation, with the community. Dominic, and I see Juan Jackson there who always, working with teams and doing certain things. I suggest that we also figure out, can we do some, meetings, community meetings, because it sounds like, District 1 is the area where it's basically happening.
You know what, it happened on the square up here on the 4th of July. I'm not gonna pinpoint a specific area or a specific anybody. I'm addressing as a whole, as a group, because it's a group problem. It's not an isolated.
Where was the fight on 4th of July?
It was right there on the square.
On the square.
Baltimore's in District 2, isn't it?
Baltimore?
Baltimore split is half.
Yeah.
half.
The episode prior to this one, though, we did take some arrests.
We have made some arrests in some of the previous ones. The episode prior to where a lot of adults were involved at this time, and this is probably, not probably, this is exactly where the problem lies. These adults are getting in the street and they're fighting. And no joke, if you haven't seen the video, there's children this tall standing there around the fight. And there's 8-year-old and 10-year-olds that are grabbing their mamas by their back, trying to pull them out of the fight. And so this is not the example that we need to be leading for these children. But back to your question, if we wanted to hastily run in and make arrests, we got everything we need to make the arrest. We've got the paperwork's signed, the judges have signed them. We're pumping the brakes on this and saying, look, we need to sit down with the parents, the children, the community, and see if we can find a resolution without fingerprints and without the jail. I just don't think it's the.
Well, that's the point that I'm making. I think that, we, at this table definitely have a part to play, but we need to have some conversation with the parents, again, faith-based community, business establishments. I think we should have conversation to make sure that we just don't figure out something today, and then next week we still got some problem.
Well, my goal for today is, in our ordinances, we have ordinances on curfew and on youth. If you've never read it before, I would advise you to read it, and I think I sent it to all y'all. But I don't want to have a called meeting on Sunday afternoon to allow the sheriff to implement curfew without the city administrator knowing about it, or for the sheriff to do that. I think he needs our authorization, and I think we need to make that decision. If the sheriff deems necessary, you contact the city administrator, the city administrator lets us know, and the curfew can be implemented. This isn't to take away any rights or privileges of anybody, no group, nothing like that. It's just, we need to get this under control. If not, like you said, worse is gonna happen. So, we don't want it to happen. So, that's the thing I'm talking about today, is we need to look at this and see if we can make this resolution to where, if the sheriff deems necessary, he contacts the city administrator and he does it. He did contact me a while back and say that he wanted to go ahead and start looking into this just to see if it's something we could do, and I said, yeah. And then the other incident happened, and I know it was not associated with Baltimore Day, it was something totally different, and I totally understand that, because Baltimore Day has always been great, I loved it. Wasn't able to attend this week because this weekend, because I was out of state, but yeah, it's not for the adults, it's just for the 17s and unders, those kids that are running the streets and not being ruled and guided correctly. That's all it is. And it's only at the sheriff's sheriff's beck and call. If he needs to implement it, I think we should allow him to implement it as a council to protect our kids.
May I say
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
May I ask the sheriff a question?
Can I address one thing, and I don't mind,
Yeah.
if y'all are okay with it? The Baltimore Day thing, I want to back up what you just said. This incident had nothing to do with the Baltimore Day. It just happened to be, all of these kids had congregated there. And this thing goes on, it's gonna blow your mind. This thing goes back 4 or 5 years ago when this oldest one was in 7th grade. She's now in high school, the latter years of high school, where they got into a fight. And they still haven't let it go. They're still fighting over a fight that happened years and years and years ago. Does that sound like an adult thing to me? Because as kids, when we were kids, we get mad and kick each other out of the sandbox, and tomorrow, we'll be back in the sandbox together. But as we've gotten older, if somebody makes us mad, we hold a grudge on them for 2 years, for 3 years. So these children are taking on some attributes of an adult that they're learning from somewhere, and it's from home. So they need to be better educated as the correct way to handle problems at school, problems in life, problems at home, problems with friends. And that's what we're here to do. Now, I know that's not addressing the curfew thing, but if it's okay, I'll take a question from her. It's up to them.
Is it for the sheriff?
Yeah, just.
You can address him after we need to move on in the executive
All
session.
right.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't think there's any outside, you think this is all Wilkes County kids?
It's all Wilkes County kids. It's no outside influence at all. Is it gang related? We've tried to put a nexus to it. There's not a nexus. It says it's a gang related. By the law says if you've had 3 or more making a common goal and whatever, by law we could draw a nexus in there too. But the criminal gang that we think about, the Bloods, the Crips, the Gangster Disciples, the common ones that we know about, it's not there. It's not there. These are young people that have got a grudge against one another, for whatever reason it may be, and they just will not let it die. And parents are allowing it to continue to grow and encourage them. We even had a parent climb on the school bus this past year and address it. When you have a parent that's setting an example like that, if you're the mom in the room or not, I don't know whether you hear it or not, but if you're setting that example, it's not just that kid, you're setting an example for every kid on the bus. So we've got to do better as adults. We've got to do better. So no outside influences. These are just local young people.
My last question is, I guess, comment for the mayor. So then the sheriff will communicate, the administrator will communicate with the sheriff when there is
When he deems necessary. Let's say a situation happens Friday night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the sheriff has said, this is enough.
Yeah.
I want to put a curfew out. He'll do that. He'll notify Code Red. Code Red will send a curfew warning out to everybody, every parent, everyone that's on it. So that way they'll know that there's a curfew for 17 and younger, and it'll follow this resolution only. Notify the city administrator will send out a message to us.
I would like to take it a little further. I think that, again, the community and the stakeholders need to have some kind of input in the conversation with Will and the sheriff as we start trying to make sure that our community are safe. I think we don't need to wait until an incident happens. I think we need to set up a task force. We can call it Community Safety Task Force, and start working on how to defuse this, how to remedy it, come up with some solution, not wait until something happens.
In the future, I definitely see that, but for right now, I think we need to have something implemented in place to where the sheriff can take care of it as needed. He's already got a level of policing that he calls it, that I think was the phrase he used that said, when they have events, there's a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and that's when he would say, okay, when you reach level 3, that's when we implement the curfew to get the younger kids off the street, so that way we can take care of the other situations. So that's what I like to report. Just so, because if not, we have to call a special meeting, and I don't like calling special meetings. But the sheriff, after the last weekend, we had to do something. So if it had just been that one on Washington Heights, I'd probably left it alone. But this one, we got to do something. So
You need to make a motion to.
go ahead.
I don't want to derail the conversation amongst the council members, but
Sheriff's right, in 2019, we put a juvenile curfew in place. I don't know that we enforced it, and at the time we did it, whether it was enforced then and it hasn't been enforced later, I'm not sure. I think to reach what I believe the consensus is in place, you could amend section 46107, which is, it's in your code, and it reads, it's the same language in the printout that you have. But I think that you could start section 7, which is in front of you, but this is 46107 in your code. You could start by saying, upon notice to the mayor and council, the chief law enforcer of the city or the city designee, which in this case would be the sheriff, because of the contract you have, may implement enforcement of this ordinance upon his or her determination the same is necessary to provide the safety, health, and welfare of the city. So the idea would be that if the sheriff or if there was a police department at the time deems it necessary, they would give notice to the city council. You as city council can always remove that power, but it would allow for there to be an immediate response such that it would be, I need to have this in place now. And if you as a council disagree with the official, you could call a meeting and pull it back. But that would be, it would give you the ability for law enforcement to put it in place first. Another thing too is under those ordinances, you do get a warning first. So if somebody happens to be out, is not meeting you're in violation of the ordinance, the first one would be warning, go home. And even a citation is still just a warning. So it could be that in the officers, the sheriff's deputies' discretion that says, go on, get back. The next time, if they actually do cite them, that is still just a warning. So the intention here is to be known that we're not intending for this to be the problem, the ordinance violation. It's to keep you from causing the second issue, which is the fight or the damage or the vandalism or whatever. So I don't know how we did it in 2019, not sure how effective it was, but adding this provision would make clear that it's not in place all the time and that it's only in place when law enforcement deems it necessary. I will also tell you that ordinance does have a lot of carve-outs in there. So if you're going to work, or kind of like if you're within the minor range, you're emancipated, you're coming and going to work, you're going to get medicine for somebody, that's not a violation. If you don't have those exceptions, it is. But again, remember, it's not a one-time and now I have to go to municipal court and fight about it. It's a citation. So
Unless there's a criminal fix that.
that's right. Which would be unrelated. So if that's what the body wants to do, your motion would be to amend section 46107 to include the following sentence. Upon notice to the mayor and council, the chief law enforcer of the city or the city's designee may implement enforcement of this ordinance upon his or her determination that the same is necessary to provide for the safety, health, and welfare of the city.
Make a motion by Councilman Gunner.
Let me ask just one more question. Under section 4, under offenses, now, I'm a parent, and I just don't, something about youth, because we do have a lot of people, a lot of parents that work, they may not have proper supervision of their children or whatever. What does that entail? Because I think that's just, I'm just concerned about that.
Yeah, I think that was the same conversation y'all had in 2019. It's still just number one, it's just a warning. So if you go to the next, to section 6, you'll see that it's different. You have a different set of circumstances for the adult versus the minor. But I will also say that, to your question, I can't always write into the language about the discretion that a judge may use. But if I'm a municipal judge, that person's going to have to make a call as to whether or not the problem with the child being out the curfew is it the parent's fault, is it the child's fault? It's the human element. It's the reason that you have a municipal judge to begin with. That may not satisfy you exactly, but the idea is if I'm a child and my parents trying to take care of me, they're not going to get cited. If I'm a child and my parent is completely absent purposely and doesn't really care what happens, I could see a citation being written. That's why you have the human element for the municipal judge to say, this is a good parent that's trying, or this is a parent that if this parent was involved in this, it would get fixed. I'll say this repeatedly, curfews are not intended to create ordinance violations. That's not what they're there for. They're to stop the other things that happen when the curfew is in place.
I got a motion,
I got it.
wait, 1 second, I got a motion, can I get a second? Second by Councilwoman Bennett, discussion. Go ahead.
Okay, discussion. I agree that, we need to address this very seriously, and I definitely agree that, it needs to be, monitored and need to be worked on. But I think that we also need to do some proactive work at the same time. I don't want our children to get the message that we now are making laws that's gonna take away their privileges and rights. And the only way, one of the ways to convey that, I think, is to have some safety meetings, or whatever we wanna call them, task force meetings, or whatever the case may be, but just to make sure that now we grab another law and enforce this law. I think it's gonna end up worse than what we are intending for it to be. Instead of, if we're gonna, at least let's have some community conversation for the parents and the children, because the reality is, many of the parents probably 12, 15 years older than the children. So I'm sure that we have a lot of problems with our parents in parenting. And so I just think that we need to also put in place at the same time some measures that will alert our children, let them know that this is a certain effort to keep our community safe.
There's a difference between law and ordinances. Ordinances can be fall under the law, I think, but that's the law right there. So if him and his deputies decide it's bad, they're gonna do that. All we're doing, we've had an ordinance in place. We need to use this ordinance now. I don't know what happened in 2019. I don't recall, and I don't recall why we put this ordinance in here, but we need to take action on giving someone the authority to implement this law, if this is ordinance, if we need to. And that's all we're doing. We're not setting boundaries. We're not doing anything right now. We're just giving it an opportunity to use our ordinance that we've had since 2019 that we probably never used before. And that's all I want. So I don't want Channel 6, WWF 12, whatever, to come up here next weekend because kids have been shot. I don't want that. And I don't want it to happen under this administration. So this is why I think we need to leave it to his authority and let him decide, let him be notified when it needs to be implemented, because the sheriff is not gonna implement this unless he deems it necessary. And I have full faith and trust in the sheriff and everything he's done so far, so I think that's where we need to go. Can we backtrack and do some education and safety maneuvers and things like that? Sure, we can, and we should, as a council, and the sheriff's doing it too. I can tell you there's a lot of things the sheriff's doing that y'all probably don't even know about in his jail that I thought was awesome. So I think, implementing this, I think with the junior patrol, the junior police patrol that he plans on doing, all the things that's going on in the community, I think we need to go ahead and start working on, putting somebody together, a task force, a committee, whatever, to start doing awareness training and help parents, help kids, whichever way we can to do this. So, but we just need to make the ordinance effective if we need to implement it. That's all we're doing today. We're not changing anything. So,
Are you saying then that we're gonna create a community task force?
yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Sheriff, can we take the lead? Can you take the lead on developing a community task force?
I'm certainly open to it. In fact, I'll take that a step forward further. I have recently I asked for an advisory board, citizens advisory board to the sheriff's office.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the people that were asked to have agreed to step in. I tried to pick someone from every community, so each community would be represented on that board. And so they're going to be my sounding board.
Okay.
To be able to get information to the communities as it comes from the sheriff's office. I would rather for it to be that way than I have Facebook. I hate Facebook because it just goes crazy.
Yeah. Well, Mayor, I know we're through this, but again, I think that we need to help the sheriff's department do his job, not take over your job. But I think we need to walk alongside of it. And the community need to walk alongside of it. That's why I'm saying what other communities are doing, they're making sure that they have in place. And I understand this process, but they're making sure that they have in place those safety nets that will alert and let people know, let the parents know, let the community know, as well as the children know. So the school system, churches, again, I keep bringing up churches.
I will meet with Pastor Springfield Baptist Church Friday.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna let the sheriff handle that, and I'm gonna call for a vote if there's no further discussion.
While y'all making a change,
Yes,
under section 7, we don't have city police officers
Yeah,
anymore.
We've
So,
already
change
changed
that.
it. It's already been changed.
So are you saying that we're gonna amend that motion to have a community task force in place?
No, that, we'll talk about that Monday night, we can make a motion for that Monday night. It's already pretty much done, he's got it going on, if he's got somebody, he can bring it back to the council and let us know who's on it, and we'll go from there and stuff. Any further discussion on this topic? Call for a vote, Councilwoman Brandon, Councilwoman Rainey,
Approve.
Councilman,
Approve.
Councilman,
Approve.
Councilman.
No.
Councilman. Approved. All right, 5-1. All right, moving on. All right, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion for an executive session.
Councilman Wiggs, Councilman Gunner, seconded. Thank y'all. We'll be in executive session.